January 27th, 2006. 20 years ago today, I was issued my certificate of qualification as a 310T truck mechanic. And then, I don't know, 18 or so years later, I went out and got me one of these. When I say went out and got, it's because that's what I did. I had to go out there and get it. Nobody did it for me. Nobody made it easy. Some of the hardest things, probably the hardest thing I've ever had to accomplish in my life, certainly in a professional manner, but I did it. And that apprenticeship was a pain in the ass. It was hard. I worked for some really miserable owners. I worked with some crusty old mechanics and technicians. I've actually come to find out the crustiest ones were the ones that taught me the most. They were crusty because they were good at their job and they didn't have much patience or time for shenanigans. But 20 years ago, that's a long time. That's going to work out to probably half of my career. So I guess I'm halfway. Better get my butt in gear. Maybe I was lucky, or maybe it was because of advice that my dad gave me that I took to heart. But when I was 16 years old, I was a high school student, and not a particularly good high school student, but a high school student. I did go to school every day. I didn't try very hard, except for maybe an auto and woodworking. And I eked by. I got my minimums, my 50s, my 70s, and I got a pass. And I got a high school diploma. And I've always said, if you don't have a high school diploma, it's because you didn't go. That's all you got to do to get a high school diploma is show up every day. Okay? When I was 16, I applied for and got a job at Canadian Tire as a parts guy, and I learned a ton. I had some great mentors there, guys that are still in the business. And I learned things about being persistent, not giving up. Doesn't matter what it is, you can find the part for it somewhere. There's always a solution. And I learned so much doing that every Tuesday night and Saturday and stuff. I must have been good enough at it because they offered me a position out in the shop. And that's where I started working, I don't know, probably 6 months or a year into that. They called us an installer. And we'd put tires on, we'd do oil changes, maybe some little exhaust work. But you're getting time in the shop, you're learning how to walk like a tech, how to talk like a tech. And if the techs in the shop got along with you, they teach you some stuff. And then they just kind of grab you by the shirt collar and say, hey, come over here and pull down on this pry bar, and you get to see how they're doing something, and the little pieces would start to come together. When I was 18, just about done high school, my last semester I did a co-op program at a diesel shop because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work on the big trucks. I don't know why, but that's what I wanted to do. And I did a 4-month co-op program, so it was basically every afternoon. I would go to a truck shop and I would work in there. And for the most part, I got along with the guys, and the guys there taught me a ton. And at the end of my co-op program, the service manager came out and said, well, so what's your plans for next year? And I said, well, I applied to and I've been accepted to Fanshawe College to do the motive power program. And if nothing materializes, that's what I'm going to do. But if something does materialize, like an apprenticeship offer, I'll probably do that instead. So I really wasn't fussy about spending another 2 years in school. I really wanted to get my hands dirty at this point. So his name was John Franks, was a service manager. Him and I got along really, really well. He was a really cool guy. Bit of a temper. I have a bit of a temper, so maybe that's why we got along. But he offered me on the spot an apprenticeship. So graduated from high school in June, walked in the next Monday to start my career as an apprentice at that dealership. I worked there for about 2 years, and there was an acquisition, and some companies merged, and there ended up being too many techs in the shop. But I worked really, really hard in there. For the most part, got along with everybody. There was one foreman in there that was just a complete asshole bully. If I could do things different, I probably would have stood up for myself a little bit. But I was just a kid, and I really wanted the job. And you don't lock horns with management when you're nobody. So anyways, there was a merger. They ended up having too many technicians. There was a new service manager that came over from the acquired business. And long story short, it was time for me to put my toolbox on a truck and get out of there. So ended up at another dealership. Got along really, really well. The foreman there was a fucking asshole. But he and I got along really well. And I think because I showed up every day, I did the best I could. I never lied to him. When I fucked up, I would just say, man, I've tried this and it didn't go, and here we are. And a lot of guys didn't like him. To this day, guys don't like him. But he and I, for whatever reason, we got along. Funny how I kind of get along with the miserable fuckers in the shop, for the most part. So, anyways, worked there for a couple of years, and then lo and behold, does that dealership acquire the dealership that I came from. So then I get moved over there and lumped in with the same bunch of guys. They keep that same awful foreman and awful service manager from the other shop that I previously worked at. I think it's time to put this toolbox on the truck again. So that was during an apprenticeship. It's tough to make a move when you're an apprentice because you don't have the options. But luckily, I was able to get picked up by another shop, and this shop had a reputation for being really, really hard to work for, but doing really, really good work. And that's why I wanted to work there because, well, I'm miserable. This owner's supposedly miserable, but they're going to make you better. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to be better. Figured I could make this work. So there's also a saying, if you talk about that shop, is people say if you could work for him, you can work for anybody. So I did. Finished out my apprenticeship. 2006, finished school, did the apprenticeship program, which is 4 years of work. Every year you take 2 months off and you go to school. I'm going to tell you this, if you don't do the school, you will not pass the exam at the end of the program. You will not. You won't understand the electrical language, the nomenclature. You won't know how to speak college, and those exams are college exams. You won't pass it. I promise you, you won't. No matter how many test exams and prep you do, you won't pass it. You got to go to school. So, anyways, I was 22 years old. I was about a month and a half from my 23rd birthday when I wrote my CFQ and I was issued my license. That license has opened so many doors for me. I've worked all around the world in and out of the trade, but my trade qualification has been what's opened the door and opened that opportunity. The last decade or so, I've really focused on working for myself because I realized I hate working for people. And I tell you, working for yourself ain't all it's cracked up to be. You can work whenever you want, as long as it's all the time. So, anyways, working for myself now, been doing this really aggressively 7 or so years. This is my shop, okay? This shop was earned by these hands right here, okay? I got my shit together right out of high school, and I went to work, and I have a house, I have a shop, I have a nice truck, I have a nice family, I got a boat, a side-by-side, and toys, and guitars, and a vinyl collection, and a nice watch, and all kinds of shit, okay? But if I had screwed around in my 20s and done 2 years of this, and then worked at a call center, and then went to find myself in Europe or whatever, I wouldn't have any of that stuff. You only have so many years to work. And I'm now at the back end. I'm going downhill now. I'm looking towards retirement. It's still a ways away, but that's what I'm looking for now. Every day you delay starting your future is a day later, day you're further away from getting there. And if you waste too much time, you're never going to get there. You're going to be too old, too tired, too worn out, or have too much baggage. When I get people send in resumes, I look at their work history, and I go, wow, they did this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And they can't commit to anything. Nobody's going to come and hand this to you on a silver platter. You got to go out there and get it. You got to work hard. You got to learn how to teach yourself. You got to go there every day. If you're sick, if you're really, really, really sick, okay. But come on, the sniffles, whatever, you got to go to work. You got to learn it. No one's going to do it for you. So 20 years, this has provided me an okay living some years, an excellent living some years. It's allowed me to put a little bit of money away for my family. It's allowed us to buy a house. It's allowed us to have all this. And it's not like when I was in my 20s, like I didn't go out and play. I screwed around with race cars. I chased girls around. I went to bars. If I could have half the money I blew at bars back, I'd be talking about retirement a lot more seriously now than I kind of was. But look at what the trades can give you. But it's not going to give it to you right away. It is a marathon. You got to be willing to work for it. And I don't mean work a little bit. You got to work every day. You got to work harder than the other guy. You got to be dependable. And when you get here and you have it all, you got to keep working because someone's going to try to take it from you. That someone's probably the government. But anyways, 20 years, kind of a special day for me. I think I'm going to go home. I'm going to plow the snow because it's been snowing friggin' like crazy since November. And I'm going to pour myself a nice drink. And I'm going to toast to how hard I've worked. Toast to the people that have taught me what I know. Toast to the people that are going to teach me what I don't know, because I still learn stuff every bloody day. But yeah, I usually end these videos, and I usually don't go this long, but I usually end these videos with a thing saying it's worth doing twice, which is kind of a shot at what the trades are all about. You know, if you've been in the trades long enough, you'll find a time where you got to take something all apart and do it all over again, and it's just heartbreaking. So, but today, instead of saying if it's worth doing, it's worth doing twice. If it's worth doing, do it once, do it right. And I mean do it for you. Don't spend your 20s trying to figure out what you want to do, because you're going to find out that you're in your 30s and it's too late. And then you're in your 40s and you're broke. Then you're in your 50s and your back and knees are shot. Then you're in your 60s and you're fucked. So do it once, do it right, do it for you. Thanks for watching.